player preview series for the Wildcats. Antonio Reeves is next up. We've already done Ugonna Onyenso. We've done Damian Collins. Let's take a look at the Illinois State transfer, Antonio Reeves. So last season at Illinois State, 20.1 points per game. Can't even talk. I'm getting ahead of myself. 3.5 rebounds per game, 1.8 assists per game, shot 47% from the floor, and 39% from three. I think it's important to look at the entire product that he had at Illinois State when talking about what this kid could do for the Wildcats this season. As a career player, he's averaging 13.4 points per game. And during his freshman year, he only started 3 games, played all 31, but he shot terribly. Shot terribly as a freshman. And then his sophomore year got a little bit better. And then in his junior year, he broke out. And so that's why I don't necessarily think that you can talk about Antonio Reeves in the light of exceeding expectations significantly, because this kid's already averaged 20 a game at the Division I level. Now, I know what some of the comments would say to that. Lance, this is a transition to the SEC. I get that. We've talked about that before. But still, he's playing and scoring at a high level, and I don't really think that we can truly question it anymore, because my first point here, breaking down this player preview for Reeves, the outside shot for Reeves is definitely there. We saw it in the Bahamas. We got to see it a little bit in this game, if I'm not mistaken, the blue and white game. Oh, excuse me. I don't think Reeves actually played. No, he did play. 5 of 12 from 3. I don't know why. I panicked there because I saw him in my notes. I'm just like, wait, did he actually not play? No, he did play. 5 of 12 from 3. You like his form? You like his decision-making on his threes? I really like him as one of Kentucky's primary shooters on the outside, along with C.J. Frederick. And then honestly, maybe Case and Wallace. But that's another conversation for another day when we continue to play preview some of these players. But yeah, his 3 ball is definitely there, and that was a huge question for me. It's like, okay, cool, he shot 39% from 3 this last season as a junior, but outside of that, he's been terrible. He's not been an efficient scorer up until this last year. And so can he do it? I think he can. I think if he gets the chance to actually get those touches, he will. He will score. The athleticism, I like it as well. I think you've got to be excited about him at that spot at the 2, maybe sliding down to the 3 if you want to get crazy with it. I don't think Cal's going to do that. Could be fun, though. I think he's a solid player within what he does. You don't look at him and say, oh, he's several different things. You look at him and say, oh, he's a scorer. He's a shooter. And he can create, and he can finish. He can do a lot of different things. We talked about it earlier in the summer, about some of the things that this kid needs to work on. I think one of the things that has been a huge point of emphasis for this Kentucky staff is communication. He's not a guy that talks a whole lot. We're trying to get him to work on that. I say we. It's probably the biggest downfall. He needs to communicate a little bit more, kind of talk things out a little bit more. You know, for a kid that was averaging 20 a game at Illinois State, I'm going to imagine that he didn't really have to do a whole lot of talking. He just got the ball and he just did with it what he wanted to do last season. He shot over 15 times a game. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a lot of communication. It was just, give me the ball, let me run the offense. If I got a shot, I'll like it. And I like it, I'll take it. But this season, he's going to be relegated to a smaller role for the Wildcats, so I'm curious to see what that looks like for him there. I think that this is a kid that can become one of Kentucky's leading scorers. I think that he can become one of the primary, I guess, he can be one of the front runners for this offense when it comes to points per game specifically. He can also be one of the primary shooters for this offense in terms of just like how many field goals he gets up a game. I mean, you look at Oscar Tshiebwe, obviously, as the next guy there, but if we're talking about jacking shots up, I mean, Antonio Reeves, he was 8 of 19 overall in the blue and white scrimmage. So you would like to expect Reeves is going to get his shots up whenever he gets his time, but part of this player preview series is also kind of discussing what happens around this person in terms of how many actual opportunities they get, because this team, I think, when you look at their starters and you look at their bench, I think a lot of it is interchangeable outside of Oscar Tshiebwe. And I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the depth that Kentucky has. And some people may say, well, Lance, it's not depth. You've only got, 10, maybe 11 players that you could feel remotely comfortable playing with. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily talking about depth from perspective like, oh, we've just got a lot of bodies. I'm talking about quality. You go to your bench and you don't necessarily worry like, oh, things are going to drop off significantly. Based on what we've seen so far, you have to be excited about some of these players coming off the bench and just not necessarily even keeping things afloat, but possibly, elevating things after the starters need to take a rest. Reeves, again, I don't know if he's going to start for this team. Don't know if he's going to be at the 2. I would like to assume that Kentucky and Cal are going to kind of let him get the nod there. Cason Wallace, CJ Frederick, 2 other guys that I think could possibly slide in at the 2 if Kentucky really wanted them to. But Reeves is going to be that primary guy. Right now, I think we talked about this before on a show. He, right now, if I had to kind of just guess, he's going to be Kentucky's 2nd or 3rd scorer. And I'm leaning towards second right now. Because he's going to get those shots up. He's going to get them up. Whenever he's in the game, that's what he's going to do. And based on what we saw at Illinois State, I think he's going to be capable of scoring at a high level.